exactly what they need to know, and that's it. If you tell them a lot more, they're gonna flag it. They're gonna be like, "Why is this here? This is unusual." Investors think that they're very smart, but most of the time they're pattern matching lemmings, which, really great once you realize that, because you just need to fit their patterns. Uh, you're gonna end up talking to them if you try to meet them in person. Uh, ideally, uh, ideally, you want to just make sure that you get to the actual conversation as quickly as possible and almost try to get off of the deck as fast as you can. Uh, I do need to spell check this. Uh, but yeah, put as little information as possible. Try to match their patterns. Don't try to like say, you know, we're very unusual. We're gonna do 8 different things to try to make this work. And it all has to work by doing 8 different things. And then they're gonna be like, well, one of those 8 things is gonna fail. They're looking to try to fit you into something that worked in the past in their heads. Um,
A question. I have a question. For the
yeah.
We were actually before you joined, we were talking about the kind of the index, the extra slides, keeping it handy. Would you recommend to keep them or don't even include anything?
So
How would
you
you
need to
do?
have 2 versions of the deck. One you send out
Mhm.
and one that you have for when you're talking to them. Because ideally you want to give them, once again, as little information as possible while telling them exactly what they want to know.
Mhm. So the
Uh,
so the
so
the one that you're sending is like 4 or 5 slides, right? Without the extra fluff.
I believe the 500 startups one is 10 or 13, but yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I
I'll
I
I'll share that
forget.
one. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you should definitely share the 500 one. The YC one, I think there's also one, but I'm not sure if that one's public.
Okay.
But look, they're pattern matching. If you show them the slides that they're used to seeing, they're going to match the pattern and not trigger
Gotcha.
on why this is the way it is. So like they're wanting a problem. They're wanting I think this might be later on in this deck. But there's a very normalized routine to this. But yeah, definitely have the appendix on the one you're actually going to talk uh to them with. But I wouldn't send out that deck. And ideally you try to not send out the deck as much as possible because they're just going to look at it and probably pass because you're not there to sell it. Yeah, okay. So for this slide, let me make sure I have them in order. Okay, great. Um, Fundraising is one of the stupidest and most annoying things you're ever going to do as a startup founder. Uh, it is the last thing you should consider doing. Don't fundraise. If you can go profitable, do it. Just just never fundraise. Fundraising is not a goal, it's a necessity. Uh, like we have this hype culture around, yeah, I raised $10 million. Doesn't matter. If you could have grown just as fast without raising a dime, that just means you gave up your company. Well, part of your company. I have friends who are successful startup founders that have spent years later buying back their equity so that they could get from their original investors full control over their company again. So if you have runway, if you can do better before you actually need to raise, spend your time not raising. Ideally, when you're raising, it should be it does take time, but you should make sure you're going to encapsulate it into a period of time anyway. Um, yeah, remove every other word that you can get away with. Don't even start with the idea of like, hey, we need a whole bunch of really fancy looking graphics. Uh Decks where you're basically reading off of the deck, horrible. They never go over well. I know you like there's a human like risk reduction component in like, oh, I want to tell them all the information. Don't tell them all the information. Remove as many words as you can. Try to stick to like a sentence or two on any slide if you can get down to it. You have to show them facts and figures if you have them. If you don't have them, that's probably going to be a problem. You should go and take a look at the markets and give them those numbers. Reasonable projections are way better than unreasonable projections, so they know you're not crazy. Mind you, sometimes the unreasonable projections would have been correct, so yada yada yada. But you get the point. Um, so uh, you, founder slides are great, especially if you have a strong team, but it should have been obvious what was going to be on the founder slide by the time you get to it. So like uh I'm starting a media company, for example. When I'm talking about the earlier parts of like what our thesis is, what the problem we're solving, I have identified through my years of experience as a media person that this problem exists. So they should know by the time they get to the team bit what's going to be on there. Um
Question.
and Go ahead.
Where would where would you recommend personally to put the team slide? Because it's some people I've heard say that, when you put a slide of your team like at the end, it's kind of like move of this is the least interesting part, which they feel like they're so strong. And the others recommend that because you usually start with here's our team, this is who we are, and that should be the selling point, because if you have a strong team, then and it's related to what you've already done, before the same field, right? Then it's a selling point. So beginning or end.
It truly depends. Like if Larry Page and Sergey Brin are starting a search engine company, yeah, put them in the front. But the vast majority of cases, you're going to want to put it further towards the back, because the most important question they're going to ask is, can I even invest in this? So they need to know if you fit their thesis, which is the problem and solution set. And then yeah, you could move up the founder slide
So
early
just
after that. But I would still put the who you are and what you're doing kind of slides
So just
first.
to clarify, when you say we need to fit in the thesis, meaning every VC has their own categories, and you want to ensure that you're in there on their menu. For us, for our PMs who are going to be going through the startup experiences very shortly, our job here is to like be able to prepare correct pitch decks, and like the some of the slides would be going to the CEO. We wouldn't need to worry about them, but that's the reason I'm asking, and just to give you a little bit of a background.
Yeah, I mean, um, okay, I get where the background here a little better, but I mean, to to explain the way VCs operate. Everyone's For the vast majority of the cases, VCs operate like this. You have a general partner, and that's, somebody who's the CEO functionally, and then investing partners in a lot of cases, unless it's a very small fund. And then you have uh LPs, and I'm actually forgetting if that's limited liquidity or something else like that. I think it might be limited. And those are people that give money into that. Uh, and the VC is really serving as I'm gonna go and find a set of companies that the people who gave me money agree are going to be good based on a assumption about the world. So, for near, for example, that would be we think AI agents are going to be the future of commerce, and we're going to fund people that do that. Uh, so we're kind of our own LP, but so like you have to fit that model, otherwise the conversation might as well end there because you're just wasting everyone's time.
Mhm. Yeah, gotcha. Just like dating. We got it.
Okay, so I think we're good to go to the next slide, by the way.
Okay.
I covered competition slides, right?
You said in the, wait, sorry. You basically said that competition slide is bullshit. You didn't
Yep.
say it, but
Yeah. Don't uh explain it in a way that is like we're not worried about them because of X. You need to show awareness, sure, but you need to be able to be like the reason they haven't done it is XYZ,
and we have
or they will never do it because XYZ. If you can't answer that question, you will fail at fundraising.
question. If you have
Yes.
the like, here's the competition, and here's why we're not worried about them. That should be in the deck that you're selling with, not the one that you're sending out, right?
Jack, the competition slides should be in both decks.
Okay, they should be. You're just saying
Yeah,
bullshit. Okay, so
they're just bullshit.
right, and okay,
They're absolutely bullshit. Everyone will always say these people aren't going to work. It provides no actual value to the fundraising process other than that they know you have that
done the research.
the entire purpose is they know you know what else is out there. Uh that's
Okay,
it.
this is super helpful because I was just showing everybody that, the slides and competition is there. So it was nice to clarify that although it's bullshit, you still have to have it. Okay, cool.
It has a purpose and it has nothing to do with your competition. It has everything to do with are you smart enough to have done research before you started building?
Cool.
So common mistakes. Um,
Mm.
Very elongated types of thing of decks combined with no hook. There if if you don't have their attention within the first minute and a half, they're going to be checking their phone the entire time. They're going to be, you have lost them. Do not lose them. Uh, do not look like you have no idea what's happening. Uh, so like, to use the media example thing just as a hypothetical, uh, you know, let's say CNN just came out with an AI product and you don't know about it. It's going to be a really bad look. Uh, like if you entirely guess the market shape wrong and they know better, you're done.
Mhm.
Um, Pitching the wrong people to cover the VC thing from earlier. If you're messaging some, um, military tech VC, uh, news startup, I guess they could use it, but never mind. But like, uh, yeah. Now that I think about it, that's definitely a thing that happened.
That's actually a
But
thing.
that's definitely a thing. That was a horrible example. I'm sorry about that. I'll pick another one some other day, but I'm already committed to this one. Uh,
Sure.
they're not really a fit. You've wasted everyone's time. You handcrafted a message to somebody who will never read it.
Mhm.
If you go in and you know, are pitching a browser company to Mark Andreessen, you better know Mark Andreessen's history. uh, which Google it if you want a fun backstory there. They have some really great emails that ended up in court cases, and you can read them, and that man is crazy. Uh, Ben Horowitz, by the way, really likes rap. If you're ever gonna message him, go all in on uh references. Anyway, so if you to use the media thing again, if you're a bunch of chemical engineers and are trying to raise for a media company, you're gonna have a bad time. If you just don't look at all like you like if this just looks like you did
Yeah.
this whatever thing as a money grab and you're not really gonna care, that's gonna end badly. We covered the competitors stuff, but really don't screw. Yeah, I know. Like you need to demonstrate that you know they exist. That is the main thing, and that you have a plan for dealing with them. And the most important thing is, um, there is a law of humanity, that is something best approximated by greed. If a company could have been built previous to that period of time and would have worked out and done great things, uh, at the very least, people would have known about it because it absolutely flamed out, like Theranos or something like that, or it would exist and be a large company. So if you are unable to indicate to them how there is a fundamental change underlying things, so like AI agents exist for near stuff, that would like in LLMs are there, that wouldn't that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't
That couldn't exist 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
yeah. Yeah, like you have to
About timing.
have a why now thing in there. And you have to deeply understand why this couldn't have happened in some other way. That's that's the bar they're all looking for. Because things naturally happen due to human greed. Companies will always be getting created, attacking every idea. Yeah, so I now on to the parts of the deck, I think is this part of it. So I mean definitely have a logo in there and a tagline, but really let I mean what's the right way of explaining this?
We have worked through the product vision and the that line, basically the product to
Bottom
help.
line, great.
Yeah. So we know what to put in here.
Perfect. Then in that case we can yeah, make sure you instead of putting a theoretical like kind of thing out there, uh actually call a customer into their mind's existence. You
Mhm.
know, this is a target customer. This is their actual problems. If you can back it up with we went and talked to 80 people and this is all of their problems. And we asked them, here's another one. We'd ask them if they'd be willing to pay for this. And if so, how much
Mhm.
is a huge win you can put in your deck. This doesn't really work for like the news example, but it does work for a lot of more general SaaS, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, our all our students had to do the interviews. So we have that desk research as well as the interviews of our potential customers. Each each of the PM has their own product that they're working on. So we're good there.
Okay. And yeah, okay, great. So just hopefully you've designed a solution to fit what the results of your user interviews are. If you haven't,
Change it.
I'm confused. That's bad. Don't do that. Yeah. Uh, don't in the benefits slide. One of the most poisonous things you can do to your fundraise is say, people operate like this, and we think that they should operate like this. Like that, excuse me, to not complicate the linguistics there. So like if you're arguing for a full change in human behavior and you can't prove people will naturally do it, they're gonna flag that.
Wait,
So
wait, 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 wait.
your solution needs to be built around the way people are actually going to.
Are you saying don't make a statement of how you think people should behave, um, or include like consider how people behave, and if you can back up that statement, then you say it. But if you don't.
Okay, so like the best example for that is like if you're arguing for a change of behavior,
Mhm.
we and it's an unusual act. Like
Right.
I'm gonna open up an app and then a car's gonna come to me and I'm gonna get into that car. Uh, doesn't work as well as no, we handed a couple of people these apps, had them call a car, and they were willing to do it.
Mm, I see. So you should describe people's behavior when offered the platform versus the just your assumption of what the customers should be doing, right?
Yeah, if it requires anything unusual, make sure you have an example of how you validated the unusual.
Okay.
Weird is awesome, don't get me wrong, but it needs to be backed up by something.
Okay. Understood.
A lot of you are probably early enough that you won't have traction, but if you can have this slide, it is great. This is the one they're going to care about. You'll get their attention back if you lost it, but you need to show actual meaningful month-over-month growth. Your numbers are going to be high percentage growth the first couple of months because you had a small number.
Mhm.
Uh, don't lean too heavily into that because they know it's bullshit. But you know, what they want to see is this the left-hand side of the screen to you guys or the right-hand side of the screen
Um, I mean,
where my hands are?
this is going to the right.
I'm pointing to the left now.
Yes.
Okay. You want instead of a line up,
Mhm.
you want a full curve up.
Oh, bend. Okay, the curve. Okay.
Find out whatever metric looks like that.
Hey,
That
now you're telling them to just bend all the to
you
skew
should bend
the
the
story.
rules by bending the line up and to the right.
Well, either way, this slide for our PMs, this is basically coming gonna all this data needs to come from the startup that you guys are gonna be working with. So you can use the data, but the data should be there already by the time you're joining the startups.
So the important thing here is you can put whatever traction number you want. So if revenue looks like this and users look like this, choose users.
Because it looks better.
Like, I mean, revenue's always great if it's really awesome to look at. Always a winner. But if you can show, Facebook didn't have revenue probably looked like, that for a while, but the users were doing that the entire time.
Makes sense.
Be
Okay.
like this, basically, is what I'm trying to.
What are these client logo one, two, three?
If you're doing a SaaS company,
Ah,
uh,
oh, okay, your clients. So that's your
yeah,
customers. Yeah.
you need to be able to clearly articulate how the product works, how that process flows in a way your grandmother could understand, or your grandfather, depending on which one of them's less tech averse or more tech averse, whatever. Dumb it really far down. I know it sounds like I'm beating up on VCs, but imagine if you spent your entire day hearing people talk about their company over and over again. There's a mental fatigue that you will have just by listening to that much over and over again. If any of you have ever worked a corporate job and you've been in meetings all day, it's the same thing at the end of the day. Speaking of which, ideal scheduling time for anyone you're trying to ask for anything is immediately after lunch. It turns out in specifically in the US justice system, bail committees are sarcastically more likely to not grant bail immediately before lunch and way more likely after lunch. People are just happier when they're not hangry. It minor sub note because that came up. Book right after lunch. Uh,
And calculate the time difference, right?
yeah,
But
make sure
lunchtime
you
in New York is still morning in San Francisco.
yeah, yeah, maybe, uh don't try to get a VC with too many time zones in between you and them anyway.
Maybe feed
Uh,
them before you start something.
what was that?
Maybe you can feed them before you start asking them.
I think I'm
Oh,
just having a
mute.
little.
You're on mute.
I mean, you can feed them before you start asking something. So you can be sure that they are not hungry.
Oh, you
You
feed
see,
them. Yeah, that's the
first
best. Go to dinner
Yeah.
or lunch.
that off the vast majority of them will do it the other way if you do have a meeting like that, but your first call is always going to be virtual unless it's a very strong introduction. So just pick right after lunch is the real takeaway there. And then dumb it down like they're in meetings every day, all day, and don't want to hear anything else. So needs to be simple, so simple your grandmother can understand it. And that's how it works, slide works. Uh this should be the shortest slide you have. The target customers pay X per X.
Mhm.
They just want to know what happens if it works.
Well, hold on. Is this a statement of what is going to be or what it's already like what it already is? Like today, our customers pay this much per month, or
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're gonna have to do for the time being. You can tell them, yeah, but we have ways of getting more money, but they need to just understand how you make money. This is how do I make money?
Mhm.
That's all you're answering.
Okay. And if the startup is at the level where they're not selling yet, they're more just gaining customers traction, uh then we still keep it, but the statement would be this is like what we targeting for, or no? What do we do
The
if we don't
target
have the
customers need to be a clearly articulated person group.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I get that. But if, for example, r right now we're just starting with this product and we're not yet asking them for money, it's like a freemium, right? So let's imagine it's Spotify before it asks you for $15 per month. Um, are we putting here that in a year we plan that customer X pays X amount per month? Or
No, because all you have to do is say right now we're like when you're actually talking about this on this slide, right now we're in a freemium model to get more users.
Mhm.
But we've tested this and users will pay X dollars a month when we get to this point.
Okay, got it.
Once again, you can choose the measurements.
As long as it makes you look good.
That's exactly the point. All pitch decks are bullshit, by the way. They're all bullshit.
But you need to
You
know
got to
how to do
choose
it.
your own flavor of bullshit, but it's, you got to support the bullshit, but don't pick a chart that makes you look bad. You
Yeah.
you know, you don't have to highlight all of their features in here. With a bunch of X's and check marks. Just be like, this is what makes them good. Some people are good at this, some people are good at this. We're the only ones that are good at this, both.
Oh, I see. So this is a good point. Because I'll be sharing with you guys additional slides or examples of pitch decks, and some prefer these columns of check marks of how many features or the features that each company has. Right? And sometimes it's a selling point, but if you're new and the competition is older, they definitely will have more features. So not so different ways to show it can benefit you or make it look worse. I get it. Thank you, Jay.
Um, yeah. So, okay, I'm actually the world's worst person to say this right now because I have made a mockery of what I was about to say here because I am actually going after all of humanity with what I'm building right now, but you guys shouldn't. That is wrong for the rest of you. Um, there is no way uh your first version
Mhm,
should be um should be, we're going to get this entire market.
mhm,
Your first version of the addressable market of the small startups you're going to be working with needs to be much smaller than the actual thing. People want to know what the actual thing is, but know that you're laser focused on this little bit of making it work, and then you'll expand from there. That was the rule for everyone. Well, every sane person.
So
Uh,
we'll have to talk about this for near AI and your target market.
it's 8 billion people. Okay, it's a small
Yeah, I
number.
think maybe you should go a little bit less from the beginning,
Okay,
from your
okay,
first version.
minus the people who aren't on the internet. Uh,
So that's 4 billion, maybe 3.
is it? No, it's not that high.
No, it's not. It's like probably a billion and something.
Yeah, okay, so 7 billion people. All right, it's just a tiny thing. But no, we're gonna give away free inference to everyone on the planet, and we're gonna make money doing it. So deal with that, Sam Altman. Hi, if you're seeing
You have
this,
to
please
make it
don't hurt me.
simple enough and so that your grandma understands, which I think that is the issue there. But we're digressing. That's a separate conversation.
Separate conversation.
Okay, so understood. The TAM is big, and then we just do the SAM or SOM showing, okay, this is where we are sitting here, and this is what we're covering out of the entire market. Got it.
The more reasonably capturable that smaller number is, the more they're going to believe that you're able to capture it.
Yeah, that's good. I was giving the samples of that, so we are on track. All right, progress to date and previously raised. Do tell.
Okay. Got I promise you guys I am not a nihilistic like whatever, but I'm gonna say this again. You can choose whatever you want to put on here. You know, obviously don't flat out lie, but like if you didn't really get moving on your product until like 3 months ago, but the company started like a year ago, start from the 3 months ago. And make sure you have like exciting things and then future clear laid out plans. But they want to okay. Uh
Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
you know, okay.
No, this
Anyway,
is good. Yeah.
so like don't lie, but pick the right time horizon here. You need to show increasing the same like graph of productivity along with traction.
What would be the crazy, like you have the milestones. Let's say I hit the milestones, but then there's this future. How crazy can I go? Like 10x, 4x, 3x? I mean, we're talking very obscure, because it's different, could be different fields, but overall, what would like raise an alarm like, all right, that's unfeasible.
The milestone isn't a number
Mhm,
usually. X thing is shipped,
mhm,
new thing onboarded. Those can have revenue attached to them, but so like if you're a SaaS company, 10 different companies signed up
mhm.
and supported in X different industries.
But if you put in the 10x of the companies that you've had before, like there's still numbers. Let's say, 3 customers, 2017, 20 customers, 2018, and then suddenly I
So
go
I
100
I think there might
customers.
be a misunderstanding on what this slide is.
Okay, tell more.
Uh this is what you've been able to execute so far.
Right.
This isn't
But
the
then there's future.
traction as much as this is the traction is this going to work? The progress to date is are you going to work?
Right, but there is the future. I'm talking about the future portion, like because you're predicting, right? So
Yeah,
usually
but
when you're predicting, you're taking what was before, like the number that was before, and then you're like Xing it with something, and you have some sort of an explanation or reason for it. But some people
okay,
are
this
unreasonable.
is all product managers, so I'll drop to that language.
Okay.
You should have your epics
Hmm.
mapped out in this slide.
Okay.
You're like, I'm delivering this major feature. I delivered these major features.
Okay, so then that's for the capabilities, not necessarily for the clients, for the number of customers.
Yeah, that's traction. That was another slide.
Okay, got it.
Do not use by the way, the photo in the middle, I think and it definitely on all Microsoft things is Bill Gates's mugshot just in silhouette.
That looks like Bill
Google it.
Gates. That could be a Bill.
Google it. It's a thing. He,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah. Uh but yeah, make sure you your big accomplishment on this slide. First off, everyone normally has a C-level title on this slide. Your big accomplishment should be relevant. If you have multiple big accomplishments, it should be relevant. Pick the one that's most relevant to the startup,
Mhm.
unless there's something just like, I founded Facebook. in my college dorm. Like, sure, put that on there, even if you're making, you know,
You don't need to.
ice cream startup. I don't know what Zuck would do. Like, but don't, you know, it's great that you were on the board of a nonprofit and did things. It
But
has nothing to do with your startups.
yep, makes sense. Okay, relevant information. Oh, and then there's a link to the 500 startup templates, which we are sharing the deck already. Awesome.
Yeah. Um, the 500 startups template isn't exactly great and is a couple of years old.
A
And
couple,
when I say a
that's like
couple,
2015 at best, I think.
so it's like a decade old.
Yeah.
Fine, jerk. Uh, just reminding me I'm old the entire talk today. It's mainly me reminding myself that I'm old. But yeah, so go and potentially go and look at more recent examples. Figma, I think, is one that does really good decks. Is that what we used, Ali?
No, Canva. Figma
Canva.
is doing the what like flows and UI designs and things like that.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with like 800 versions of your deck, by the way. So figure out a way that you can number it, and make sure you have the most up-to-date one.
Awesome.
Uh,
So
yeah.
we are kind of at
Free
time.
to tailor.
We have 7 minutes.
Okay.
I wanted to see if somebody has questions.
One last statement.
Oh,
Tailor your deck to the audience. You're gonna have multiple decks. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
just like resume.
Yeah, it's a business resume. Please hire dash fund me.
Okay, people, questions.
I have a question. Thank you, Jay, for your presentation. It was extremely interesting and very practice, like in a practice way. So my question sounds like that. When you are actually raising funds for your startup, do you need to specify exactly how much you need or what profit share or interest the investors will get from it? Or is it something that negotiated outside the presentation and is living behind the scene?
Now that I think about it, that deck didn't have what you're raising. So, ideally you have a slide in there that says something that's almost precisely this, which is we are raising X dollar figure or whatever, to be able to build out XYZ. You do not name the at number. Almost all of them are going to come in via safe note anyway, and a lot of those just work on discounts. It is a complicated and hairy situation that makes no sense. There's going to be things like pro rata rights. There's going to be things like most favored nation, which is they get whatever the best deal you give away, they get those terms. People will try to sneak those in all over the place. Uh, VCs, if you see them redline your safe note to have something really weird and kind of treacherous, they may not be good to take money from because they might try to screw you over later. But to answer your question in short, yeah, you should have a what you're raising and what you're going to use the money for slide.
Mm-hmm.
You also don't have to have that. You can just say it, but uh, in general, yeah, they're gonna want to know what you're asking for. Once again, because if you go into Ask Google Ventures, they're gonna be like, you realize we don't cut checks below like $5 million anymore, right? Well, why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, one of the books I can recommend that I enjoyed listening to is Secrets of Sand Hill Road. Before that book, every time Jay was telling me about the nodes, I was at a loss. So I really had to get through the book to kind of break it down for myself. If you
It's
remember
definitely
that.
it's definitely a good thing to be well, oh, what's the right way to say this? When you offer terms to investors is one of the most dangerous activities you can do. Like that's why safe notes are called safe notes. Because before safe notes existed, yeah, obviously it's an acronym, simple agreement for equity. But it's the contracts and investing documents that were around before that tend to have a lot of buried gotchas. And it makes it really hard to put a buried gotcha in a safe note. So probably stick to those. If somebody has some weird random other thing that they want you to agree with, that's a red flag to maybe look out.
Okay, any more questions?
How long your pitch deck it could be? Like it's half hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour,
Ho, ho, ho,
15
ho.
Whoa.
No,
Oh man.
no.
You wanna answer this one?
Yeah, no, the pitch deck itself is especially the one that you're presenting and like selling, you have to be done in like 2, 3 minutes. And then it's okay to have like if they probably will have the questions and it will lead on to a conversation. And maximum that you're gonna get is like probably 30 minutes that you because you're as Vijay was saying, there's like they're running from one meeting to another. And so, unless you get their interest, it's not going to be a very long conversation. If you have the 30 minutes, that's like a positive that they stayed, because they could like cut it in like 10, 15 minutes. Like, okay, well, we're not in the market for this, so thanks, bye.
Yeah, I would pretend you're gonna have less than 10 minutes total uh with how you prepare yourself. Because the vast majority of the time it will be about that amount of time. And then honestly, they're never gonna tell you why they said no, but if they don't ask questions after that 10-minute like thing, it's a problem with your deck or how you're talking about it or fundamental. If you get two questions in everything, that means they were interested,
Hmm.
which means something you said in that latter part
Trigger.
is the reason they're not interested in. It is a very easy to tell what you need to fix. But assume you're going to be doing like 60 or 70 of them at a minimum. Like,
Of the presentations, you mean?
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you, Jay, so much. We've recorded it for the rest of the West Coast who is still sleeping. Uh, but thank you for joining and sharing your knowledge on pitch decks and how to pitch.
And
Thank
and and
you.
it's early even for the well, not sarcastically early, but it's pretty early for the East Coast. And I'm sorry that we move this all around like this. It is a weird thing trying to make timelines work. Literally 12 hours away. So I apologize for those of you who weren't able to attend in
Well, you live
person
in the
and
future.
also
You're in Dubai, so
yeah,
it's
West
already
Coast.
evening.
Uh, what?
I said you live in the future because you're in Dubai, so it's like 12 hours difference between San Francisco and Dubai. Cool.
Uh, I'm not gonna say anything because yeah, Dubai's great. Uh,
Okay.
Dubai's wonderful.
Well, is that okay if our students add you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Feel
cool.
free to give them my contact in any way that most helps them. I'm pretty much Jay Zalowitz everywhere, literally everywhere. Happy to help with whatever you guys need, especially if you land at an AI company. But yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you, and have a great Wednesday, everybody. We're in Wednesday? Yes, we are on Wednesday. Cool. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Jay. Thank you for your
Bye.
time.